regardless of whom they support themselves, Americans have an idea about whom they think is going to win the presidential election.
Happy days aren't here yet, but Americans think they're on the way.
And we continue to focus on the implications of President Obama's announcement that he personally supports same-sex marriage. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters. Well, Susan, we have new polling information, really fascinating, over the weekend. Now, some of it's going to be released on into next week, so people have to stay tuned. We'll talk about some of it next week. But the thing that I mentioned first is expectations. Regardless of whom they support, and people in the poll, just like our tracking, you know, it's close. It's statistically close when you ask who you're going to vote for. But 56 to 36, Americans say they think Obama's going to win over Romney. When you say, regardless of who you're going to vote for, who do you expect is going to win? And you know, Republicans all through the primary season continually told us they thought Romney would win the nomination. So is this significant, the fact that right now Americans think it may be close, but Obama's going to win?
I think it's a little surprising because we know from the Gallup tracking poll that the election, at least at this point, is extremely close. And we've got a lot of signs that it's going to be close. Now I wonder, do you think this is an advantage for President Obama, that despite these close numbers when we do the head-to-heads, that Americans expect him to win?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, does it actually pay off to have the psychological benefit of being ahead? It's a good question. The other question, of course, is it predictive? Are Americans more accurate as prognosticators than they are just saying who they're going to vote for? We'll have to wait and see. There are some political scientists and economists who've looked at it and say it's an interesting, important indicator. But let's wait and see where it is when we get closer. Now, speaking of the election, one thing that you highlighted in your article in USA Today about our weekend USA Today Gallup poll was improving perception to the economy. You know,
it's interesting. Americans agree that the economy is bad now. 7 out of 10 say it's poor. But when we ask about the future, Americans believe that a year from now, the economy is going to be good, and they're especially optimistic about what's going to happen in their own lives. We still have a plurality who say, I'm worse off financially now than I was a year ago. But 2/3 say they expect to be better off in a year than they are now. So we definitely see some shifts in the economy. These perceptions of what's going to happen for yourself, they're the best that they've been since before the collapse of the economy in 2008.
And speaking of expectations, that has to be good for Barack Obama, because the economy, we all know, is a significant predictor of an incumbent's probability of being reelected. So if this keeps up, it would look good for Obama.
You'd think so. Although it was interesting, the survey also had some good news for Romney, and that it shows that Americans continue to have more faith in Mitt Romney to handle the economy in a good way than they do in President Obama. We ask, if Mitt Romney is elected president, will the economy be better in 4 years? Well, 55% of Americans thought it would. That's a stronger showing than when we ask Americans, if President Obama wins a second term, where will the economy be in 4 years?
And we had found the same thing in the poll that was our likable poll, you know, where we found that Obama had a huge margin in terms of being more likable than Romney. However, in that same poll, we said, what about the economy? And Romney had a slight edge on that in a couple of different ways that we ask it. So despite the looking better on the economy, people are positive about Romney, and that's got to be a key for him too, because if he can convince Americans that he will handle the economy better, that's a very good argument to use against Barack Obama. So we got cross currents in the poll that looks good.
That's right, because we think it's going to be close, unlike most Americans.
That's right. What about this satisfaction question? We asked Republicans, are you satisfied that Romney's your nominee, or would you rather somebody else win? 59% of Republicans said they were satisfied, which left a little over a third saying they wish somebody else had won. We asked the same thing of Democrats about Obama, and it was 80% satisfied. But that's not surprising. Obama had no primary competition. There's nobody really running against him out there, and Romney's had all kinds of competitors.
In fact, I thought it was a little surprising that 1 out of 5 preferred somebody else, since there was no one else on the scene. But when we ask Americans who are they going to support for president, 9 out of 10 Republicans said they were going to support Romney. 9 out of 10 Democrats said they were going to support Obama. So the fact that 1/3 of Republicans would have preferred another candidate does not seem to be cutting into Romney's ability to pull them in as supporters.
Good point. So these would be people who supported Santorum probably, or maybe Newt Gingrich or some of the others. But hey, it's easy to say that in a survey. But now that Romney's their nominee, presumably they'll come along and support him. Generic ballot, I just want to throw that in, not the presidential election, but we've also got 435 representatives up for re-election, and Republicans have edged out a little on our so-called generic ballot at this point, right?
That's right, and it's the first time this cycle that's happened. Last August, Democrats had a 7-point advantage, and it was even in February. So this is like, again, at cross currents with people's expectation that they think President Obama will win a second term. There's now a clear advantage for Republicans when it comes to Congress.
And of course they own the House now, and in 2010 we saw the same thing. They were way out ahead of the generic ballot, and of course they won, but that may change. We'll see going forward. Let's shift gears, Susan. Still a lot of talk about Obama's announcement publicly that he supported, at least personally, legalized same-sex marriage. Everybody's trying to tease out what implications that had. So we just went to the public, right? Thursday night, we said in the USA Today Gallup poll, does this make you more likely or less likely to want to vote for Obama, that he made the announcement? And the results showed?
Well, 6 out of 10 said it didn't make a difference. On the other hand, 4 out of 10 said it did make a difference. And I guess the question is, are the people who say it makes a difference, were they already in one corner or the other? Or were they people in the middle that might have gone one way or the other? Yeah,
and that's hard to tell, because a lot of those who said less likely to vote for Obama were Republicans and probably weren't going to vote for him. I think there's a real issue here with motivation. I mean, it may not change people's minds, but on both sides, it may shore up support for Obama among white liberals and those who are gay and others who are of a socially liberal perspective. But on the other hand, it may shore up support for Romney among social conservatives and highly religious Republicans who say, wait a minute, this really defines for us that Obama's a liberal, therefore I'm going to get more energized to support Romney.
Which we know is already a strength for Romney, that people perceive him as being somewhere in the middle, whereas Americans pretty much believe that President Obama is a liberal, so it could be an advantage that way. Although there's a big advantage, I think, for President Obama in this. He really counts on young people's support. The enthusiasm of younger voters hasn't been as high this time as it was 4 years ago. This is an issue in which younger voters overwhelmingly believe this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's very age specific. Young people are much more likely to favor legalizing. You're right. So we'll see how it plays out. Of course, when you look at the data, nobody tells us that that's a major issue of importance. It is now with the flurry of media activity in this cycle, but let's talk again next August and see if that's really faded as an issue. Probably will have faded a lot.
Yeah, good point.
Finally, most interesting finding of the week. You know, we had asked Americans a trend question at Gallup. Is it good that we have a class of rich people? And we found, just like 1990, over 6 in 10 said yes, no change, despite all the 1% discussion and we need to tax the rich. Also, we found, number 2, that a lot of Americans want to be rich themselves. Of course, you and I are quite wealthy, but these are a lot of the common people out there who want to be rich. But I thought it was interesting, Susan, we said, all right, think about Obama and Romney. Are they rich? Now, 80% said, oh, Romney is rich, so they recognized it. But what surprised us is well over 6 out of 10 said Obama's rich. So Romney's really just a little more likely, 82% for Romney, 68% for Obama. Romney's just a little more likely to be seen as rich than Obama, who's the champion of the middle class.
Isn't this an American characteristic, to both think it's fine that they're rich people and to want to be one of themselves, and ideally, part of the American dream, to believe that if you work hard and you do the right thing and you have a great idea and you pursue it, that you could be rich yourself.
Speaking of which, 47% of those under 30 think it's at least somewhat likely they'll be rich. So hope springs eternal in the minds of young people. Of those 65 and over, 8% think they'll be rich. So most people have given up by that age, but there's still 8% of 65 and pluses who say, yeah, someday I'll get rich. They're hoping for the lottery, maybe.
Maybe so.
Okay, we'll talk more next week about the economy. Got some fascinating data. I'm Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters.